Hello, this is Grant, and welcome to the Master Run of Dead Rising 2. So this took a little while for me to put together. I was trying to work out some of my own improvements on how I make this, and I really wanted to focus on doing it in large batches. So actually I was originally trying to do this entire game in one take, and I actually lost a lot of footage. It wasn't one literal take, but essentially film a whole bunch, do the commentary for all of them, edit all of them, and then export. Because like the more I group together, the more efficient it is. It is a little slow, but after some trial and error, I think I finally worked out how we can do this. So we're gonna get off to the start here. This is Chuck Green. He's a former motocross star, and his daughter is infected with the zombie parasite. So basically he's doing this game show called Terror's Reality to raise money and buy more doses for his daughter because she needs to take it every day at 7 a.m. and that's a big part of the game. So our goal here is we're going to once again get every single survivor, kill every psychopath, do the whole thing from level 1. I am not nearly as familiar with Dead Rising 2 as I am with 1. I played a ton of 1 and I played 2 through about once or twice. At least that was true before I started recording this. Because of footage issues, I basically played this game 3 times over the last week. So that was fun. Learned a lot though. So hopefully you'll see that. But we're going to get started off here after some cutscenes introducing different characters. There's a fun little motocross section where you get to play a game from Terror is Reality. You can go online and earn cash for your character by doing these games, but anymore, it's really rare that anyone is online in the matchmaking. So if you want to do it, you have to find someone else beforehand to go online with you. Or expect a long, long time waiting. We got this guy over here in the green who will actually be a psychopath in the first day. And there's the guy in the blue back there who's a survivor you talk to in upcoming section, as well as just having him hang out around the safe room. I'm not a huge fan of Chuck as a character. I don't know, he just seems like kind of a dick. I really liked Frank, and I haven't played 3, so I can't comment on that main character, but I don't know, Chuck just really isn't my style. Maybe it's just his face. I don't like his face. But I'm really excited to finally be doing all this. I finally got everything done, recorded. It's gonna be a huge step up. I'm really looking forward to commentating this. So this game's pretty easy. Our goal is we're gonna be killing zombies using the motorcycle, or slice sickle, as I believe it's called, where it just has those chainsaws on the ends. You gotta get so many points. Whoever gets the most points is gonna get a cash reward at the end. If you get first place, you start with $10,000 more than you would otherwise. That's not a huge deal, but it is part of the run we're going to try and get is the first place here. And it's pretty easy. The AI here is not that tough. And I think that's just to deal with the fact that this might be your first time playing. We have the introduction of TK here, as well as those twins. I can never remember the name of the twins, but TK plays a huge role in the game. Notice the Zombrex logos in the background there. Also very important to the game and its story. I believe this takes place, I want to say like 5 to 10 years after Dead Rising 1. I can't remember the exact timeline, but it's a decent enough time. And since then, there has been a breakout in Las Vegas, and it had to be destroyed. So they built a new city called Fortune City that kind of filled the same place. And that's where this game actually takes place, is in Fortune City. Which I think is kind of a clever way of kind of having your own environment, having it be basically Vegas, but not having to do that exact layout and whatnot. So here, this is really easy. We want to aim for zombies with those little pink balls on their head. They get the most points. You can just kind of shoot down, getting the ones you can, and then if you just pull the brake, I believe it's the left trigger, and hit left, you'll do that awesome little slide to turn around really fast. If you're particularly good at this game, you can actually use the back ramp to turn around, and then you won't lose nearly as much momentum. And you can just go straight down what amounts to these like 2 lines of zombies. A lot of times I'll just like, you can just drive really slowly as long as you're getting all the zombies, particularly all the pink zombies. Kind of more like this, just like nice and simple, because you'll just destroy them and score. I got 21,000 right now. Leon, the closest, is 7,000, so it's devastating. So this cutscene you get if you get first place. I believe, I can't really recall, I almost always get first place, so I don't know what's different about it. But really it's just to get that 10k. Money is not a huge deal in the game, it's really more just for unlocks. What you can use money for is gambling, which is only to make more money. Certain survivor scoops will require you to have money for one reason or another, like you have to play poker, so you need $100,000 to ante up in that, or someone needs their gambling debt repaid, so you need to pay them $30,000. It also manages different unlocks like the cars you can go buy the keys for, and those are like 500,000 to 3 million or something. And you can use those to escort survivors and stuff around. So it's not a huge deal. And like I said, you can get money from the Terror's Reality Online game. It's probably one of the best sources, but there's easy ways to farm it in-game too. It just kind of is there. I wish it had more of an effect or more of a reason. You can use it to buy items from the pawn shops, particularly Zombrex, which I could see being useful. But since we're going to be doing a all survivors run, we end up getting so much Zombrex, it's not an issue. But I suppose, like, since you need it every day at a certain time, if you have the cash, it would be convenient just to buy it. Or if you really wanted to be lazy, you could just go get all the bargain books to reduce the prices, and at the very beginning of the game, buy 4 Zombrexes and then not have to do it again. We're going to introduce Stacy Forsyth, who functions kind of like an Otis from Dead Rising 1. I don't care for her as much. She's better than Chuck, though. Interesting. She works for a zombie rights group, which I'm not fully sure what they entail. I think that's the couple from, there's a... when you first load this game, if you're like stalling on the idling screen, they have like an ad for Fortune City, and I think that's where that one couple is from. So to talk about lore a little bit, if you recall at the end of Dead Rising 1, the villain, Carlito, had a plan in place where he adopted like 50 orphans, and it was thought that he essentially got them infected with the zombie parasite and then just suppressed it and had them get adopted all over the country. And so they don't officially say that's what happened, like whether or not that's true, because at the end of the Dead Rising 1, they're just maybe, who knows if he actually like infected them or not. Well, that would be a great way to explain how zombies got outside of Willamette, would be that he actually did go through with it. And then just, there's only a couple cases where they were able to stop it. Whereas like Las Vegas and whatnot were just completely, had to be destroyed. I imagine they firebombed Willamette to the ground, just completely burned it to deal with the zombies. There's actually a prequel to this. It functions as a demo for Dead Rising 1, where it's like $5, it's a paid demo, but it's got entirely like content just to it. I believe you fight like one psychopath, save a couple people, and you only can make it, I think, to level 10. It might be 5, but if you have a save file, it will carry over into the actual Dead Rising 2 game, so you can start the game out as level 10 or what have you. Or like have like different combo cards. Stuff like that. I have personally not played it. I would love to go back and take a look at it, but I imagine it's pretty simple and straightforward. I had heard good things about it. I think it's like $5 or something odd. At this point, it seems like they should really lower it, because like Dead Rising 2, I got Dead Rising 2 for free actually. It was through Games with Gold. I think I originally borrowed it from someone. So the idea of that then paying like $5 to get a demo just doesn't appeal to me. When if they drop the price, it could be cool. It definitely could be a nice little value or extra piece of Dead Rising you can play as. I think they have 2 spin-offs to this game as well, not counting the demo. One where you get to play through this entire same game as Frank West. A portion of the game that comes after where you get to play alongside Frank West. And of course the demo, yeah. Those 3. I have not played those either. But I would love to see more Frank West, so I'll probably pick him up eventually, once I can find the time. They never really talked about how long it takes someone to turn in this game. Like right there, he turned in like a couple seconds. Whereas, as you can see later on, there's some people it just takes forever. And they say it's just, oh, it's due to your physiology, but it's really, I think, just more of a convenience thing. That's like one of those things where, like, how come obviously throughout the course of this, Chuck is going to be bitten and just torn apart, but he doesn't need to take Zombrex? I don't know, it's just one of those things you just don't ask, I think. So over here in the green room, he sadly died. That's our daughter Katie's backpack, which is pretty iconic. Anytime like she goes missing, they always leave her backpack, which I assume is actually pretty good storytelling. So if you see this here, he is from Las Vegas. I assume that has to do with his motocross career. And when the Vegas outbreak happened, his wife got infected and bit his daughter. And that's how come, one, he doesn't have a wife anymore, and two, his daughter is infected. And they had to fight out of it. I believe the demo actually takes place after the Vegas outbreak. It's like him trying to get out of the city. So here, I didn't know. This is one of the things where, despite going through this game several times, I didn't know everything. I didn't know you could kick when you had Katie here. That's why I like to kick that guy in the face. I was like, huh, that's cool. And here I debate even like, huh, I wonder if I can like break these, but I quickly decide it's not worth the time. Times like this, like you're not on a like time schedule yet. There's no actual countdown going. So in theory, you can take your time. And I've always wanted to come through here at like level 50 and see if you can do anything cool. Like, you can't pick anything up, obviously, because you have Katie, and you can't drop her. And you also can't save anyone. Which, too bad. I personally believe it probably would be possible to, quote-unquote, save someone just by getting all the zombies away from them, but you can't carry them to the next area. So, it's unfortunate. One thing I think that's a little bit more believable about this outbreak in Dead Rising 2 than in 1 is that right now, like, the city is prepared for a zombie outbreak. It's considered on the level of like a tornado, a hurricane, stuff like that. So they have shelters and like regulations. People know what zombies are and how to deal with them. So I don't think it would be very common that it would just spread, but rather that they let loose the zombies for the game show, which I don't know how many there were. I mean, they're going through them pretty fast, and this was like only like the first day of the show or something, so it wasn't like they've gone through them all. So I assume they just had like hordes and hordes of zombies, and they just let them like start pouring out. So I think that makes a little bit more sense. I don't know if it'd be this chaotic, just because like the zombies are pretty slow. I feel like you could outrun them, and they wouldn't be as thoroughly distributed if that was the case. Like sometimes like zombies will get in these like crazy places where they should really just be all centered around the stadium. Because I wonder, they don't really talk. I assume zombies just kind of wander when there's not food. These two here, they're talking about what just happened in the cutscene. They actually show up again in one of the final cutscenes of the game. They're not important, but kind of neat little reuse of characters. So that is Sullivan. He is part of the Fortune City Reserve, or FCS, Fortune City Security, I suppose.
Whoa, hold on.
He's similar to kind of like a Otis as well. He gives you the maintenance room key, and he's familiar with the city. He runs kind of the shelter while you're gone.
It's an existing condition. All right, it's
Trying to make sure zombies don't get in, everyone's fed and all that. He also tells you like what the regulations are, because there's said stuff like, oh, the military's going to show up in 3 days, they're going to quarantine it. Later on, he tells you about the firebombing.
There ain't none here, and the rescue ain't coming for 3 days.
We're going to be seeing more of him.
Yeah.
He's pretty involved. I would say he's kind of like a Brad.
But their first priority is to quarantine.
From Dead Rising 1, that is.
That takes time. They'll enter the city at first light 3 days from now. That's the standard procedure.
You can tell they're important characters by how much better modeled they are than the random survivors we're going to go find.
Security room. Why don't you take her in there? It's quieter.
So there's this little shot right up here when he like kind of closes it and Stacy like steps in. I don't get the point of that. It's almost like it should be foreshadowing, but it doesn't make sense. Like I don't get what's the point of this. Is she like picky that he shut the door? I don't get it. I mean, I can see how they're at odds. She works for a zombie like rights group, and a lot of people are probably not really for that. But what you gonna do? I think from the sound of it, it's more of a case where it's like people who have had family members turn into zombies, and then just to see their like corpse more or less completely just made a joke of and just torn apart. I believe I talked a lot about one, like it would suck if they figured out like an actual cure for being a zombie. Like just there's like a cure theoretically for being bitten, but what if you could actually take someone who was a zombie, fully turned, and then turn them back? That would probably make that show look pretty bad. I feel like Sullivan would have heard, considering he would have been right outside there with the door open.
Chuck, this is Katie. Do you know a way out of here?
No, but if you find one, I suggest.
It's got some little setup. It's going to basically work the same way Scoops did in Dead Rising 1. She's going to call, tell us what's going on. She watches the monitors. We go do it. Take all the survivors back. Do cases, missions, and Scoops. Stuff like that. It's pretty straightforward if you ever played any Dead Rising game, ever.
If you find anyone alive out there,
I'll do what I can. Keep an eye on my daughter, okay?
It's a pretty lengthy intro sequence. But then again, it's probably more active than, say, Dead Rising 1's chop or intro. I decided in this series I'm not going to edit out the loading screens. For this first few episodes that I did, but just for my own sake, with the sheer volume I'm trying to put through, having to edit those out is a huge deal. But alright, we got our playable character going here. We got our first mission, go get some Zombrex. We can head out the vent here in classic Dead Rising style. You always gotta leave the safe room in a vent, because zombies aren't smart enough to use them. But we're going to head on out. I think it's going to be a great series. I'm really looking forward to it, guys. Tell me what you think. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, check out one of the links below. Till next time, don't take your zombie safety for granted.